Hello and welcome back to hData TV. My name is Jared Busheld, and with me I have Andy Gregorowitz.
Hi Jerry, thanks for having me here on hData TV. We just got back from the HL7 working group meetings in Cambridge, and there we had a lot of exciting conversations about hData with many of the participants there. And I think it would be great for us to talk about some of the feedback we've received on hData.
Absolutely. Actually, HL7 sees hData as one of the foundational technologies for what they call alternative ITSs. And actually, we took a couple of interviews with folks out there. Let's hear what Anne Wrightson of the UK has to say about that.
hData has come up as a number of potential solutions to implementation problems with HL7v3. Implementers have been finding the default ITS complex to implement, expensive to implement, requiring skills in their developer community that they couldn't necessarily find easily. And there's been a good response from the community in coming up with potential solutions to that. I see hData as a very constructive member of this club of solutions.
Thanks, Anne. The next clip is about John Quinn, who was the CTO for HL7. Let's hear what John has to say about hData as an alternative ITS.
It's certainly reasonable, with care and certain caveats, to say I don't need this contextual data. It's not part of what I was going to ever send. And for that reason, to say, let me take an XML approach that is less verbose.
Thanks, John. Now, when we talk about hData, one of the things that I'm particularly interested in is how it affects developers. I'm a software developer myself, and I'd like to see health information technologies be easy to use and not throw developers for too much of a loop with the tools they're already familiar with. And I had some really good conversations at the working group meeting about how hData tries to accommodate the developers that are out there working with health information technologies. One of the conversations that I had was with Jason Bray, who works for Cerner. He's very interested in how hData approaches information sharing, and we got into a good discussion about some of the technologies that hData employs.
hData is a really interesting technology to Cerner. There are properties about hData as an interoperability platform that are useful to us. It covers areas in unique ways. For instance, the ability to use standard technologies like Atom allows us to use standard tooling and tooling written against standards that really will expedite and expedite our process of building interoperability strategies.
It's great to see interest in Web 2.0 technologies to be used to integrate health IT systems. I think this is really going to lower the barrier to entry for getting these systems to talk to each other, don't you, Jerry?
Oh, absolutely, Andy. And in fact, at the ITS working group, we have identified a couple of new and innovative use cases on how this can be done. Let's actually hear what one of their members had to share with us.
So the use case that interests me for hData is in a hospital setting where there are multiple systems that were developed independently. So for example, you have a lab system, a pharma system, a DI system, and you want to access all your patient information in one neat package. Well, hData gives you that capability because you can go and pull out each of those components and package them up according to the format or structure that the hData defines. And since you're pulling it out fresh each time you access it, you're getting the most current data on the patient, and then you can deliver it on a variety of devices, not just on a screen, but also on something like an iPhone, which we know lots of hospitals and physicians are moving to these days. So I think it's really a great idea.
Now, interest definitely went beyond the ITS working group. We talked to members of the RIMBA working group, and they were very interested in using hData for some of their projects. What they need is a RESTful API that allows them to transport v3 messages and fragments across the wire and have essentially an API over it. Let's hear what they had to say about this.
What we did so far is when we receive v3 messages, we store them in relational tables. So we actually have tables like ACT and so on, and we tear the whole message apart, put them in data tables, only most of the time to just, when we restore the message, we just recollect the whole thing again. And at a certain moment we were wondering, why are we disassembling these messages completely into tables and not leaving them in small parts and just store these little atom-like things? And so then I heard about hData, and this is a nice RESTful hierarchical store for bits of clickable data. So then 1 + 1 became 2, and I thought, wait, if we split up our messages or our data into these little blocks and we store that in a hierarchical structure in hData, we'd have a nice RESTful interface to these little blocks, and so that everybody can easily access all this data apart from these big HL7v3 interaction messages.
Across the board, there was a very positive reaction to hData at the HL7 working group meetings. The question is now, where does hData go from here? Let's hear again from John Quinn some of his thoughts on what we can do with hData.
I see it progressing as a ballot. I want to see, what I'd like to see is that it become an alternate or one of a number of ITSs, implementation technology specifications, that could be used by an HL7 user.
Wow, this is really exciting. So what's going on next?
Well, the ITS working group discussed hData at the meeting, and they've decided to put it in the January 2011 ballot cycle.
And what does that mean, really?
Well, that means that HL7 will be voting on hData as to whether they want to make it a draft standard for trial use.
Excellent. This is really cool. So if people have more questions or comments about hData, what would be the best way to let us know?
Well, I think it would be great if folks are interested in the project and have feedback for us. They can feel free to leave comments on this video. We'll be checking in on it and responding as we can. You can also visit projecthdata.org, where you'll find more information about this effort, and you can find additional ways to contact us through our mailing lists.
Well, thanks a lot, Andy. Really appreciate your time. I also appreciate your time. Thanks a lot for being here with us, and hope to see you soon on the next installment of hData TV.